everyone. Anyone that knows me knows that I'm less than comfortable up here chatting about what we've done over the last few years. It's been a good morning so far. I've learnt that we not only handle materials, ones, twos, whatever, but now we're up to 40,000 something, so it's even more confusing. So I'm just going to chat about what we've done for the last 25 years. Excuse me for going over a bit of the film there, but it's such a great exposure for what we do and for recycling in Australia and for the amount of waste around that it deserves a second shot. So it was going to be following on from Liz's presentation, so if you can imagine, Liz has explained how it's got to this stage. So the red group send us these bales of material to then make into product further down the stream. So we get all sorts of interesting material in those bales. As you can imagine, it's post-consumer, so we get shopping bags, bread bags, frozen food bags, biscuit wrappers, basically anything that meets that technical term of scrunchable plastics. We also get other stuff. We get cardboard, steel, liquid paperboard. Now they don't present too much of a problem. The fibres out of the cardboard and liquid paperboard tend to mix into the blend quite well. The aluminium cans and the coins are a real problem for us. They're very hard to separate. So the system of voluntarily going out of your way to take the packaging back to your supermarket, it isn't perfect, but it helps to ensure that people who are keen on doing the right thing only take materials back that are required. I also think that reverse logistics like this is the answer to moving lightweight packaging around Australia. We pre-shred the bales, as you saw in the movie there, for an initial downsizing, then pass it under the magnets to remove the contaminants or the steel. From there, the material's fed into a densifying machine that dries, then pushes the material into these small shapes that allow us to make the required blends we need to make our products. So we'll have a bit of a closer look at the raw material. You can see on the slide there, there's unmelted plastics. That could be PETs or styrenes. There's fibrous material in there. That could be a calico bag or a sock, who knows. Tiny bits of aluminium in there, but the predominant material there is the post-consumer flexible packaging. So the idea of processing this material to such a rough sort of stage is because we don't want to waste energy prior to producing the end products. This process is very efficient at drying small amounts of moisture and agglomerating the material in one step. Possibly of note here is that we don't wash the material. If we actually washed that sort of material, we'd lose 20%. Also, there'd be more expense in drying it as well, so we'd waste power there. It's at this stage that we vary from companies in the past, and the few remaining companies in Australia realise that rubbish in means rubbish out when it comes from making quality products from any old plastics. This slide's an example I came across just last week. It's an example of two different processes used to make plastic products in the field. The settings were installed in a rainforest in Victoria about 25 years ago. The slide on the left shows a process that was invented in the 1960s that used any type of plastics and intrusion moulded the profiles. The slide on the right is some of the first product we made in our machines. So as you can see, the difference is a seat that's used or a seat that's avoided. It's pretty obvious. So as a rule, we discourage the use of black material in seating. It just gets too hot in the sun, but luckily this installation's in the shade. So in the background of this slide is a standard sort of mix with white materials, a PE, PET combination that we get from industry, the blue materials, Steri-Wrap from hospitals, the larger beads in there are from reprocessors that could have messed up a batch, or they could be purgings, or they could even be floor sweepings. There's the agglomerate in there, and also the smaller beads in that mix there are the colour and UV stabiliser we add. So the plastic packaging we receive is mostly high and low density polyethylene. This material's got great impact strength, but for some of our products like boardwalks, it's a bit too flexible, so we'll only add that sort of material at around 20 to 30%. We get all sorts of other materials, car bumpers, agricultural film, that's from cotton wrap. You'll see the residual cotton in the bales there. the Steri-Wrap, as mentioned, from hospitals. We get woven polypropylene bags with whatever was in the bags still in the bottom of them. And we also receive money, unfortunately shredded or palletised. So as you can see, our products have many different applications. The boardwalk material must not flex, as mentioned, but it's got to be strong enough to meet load-bearing requirements. The large fenders pictured have to be flexible to take the shock away from the substructure, but can't break. Our products have to go in the snow or in the Northern Territory, in the outback. Even the street sweeper brushes are made from mixed plastics, but with enough of a certain polymer to ensure they can take the extreme stresses put upon them. About the only products in the pictures above that can be made from just about anything are the bollards there, but even they'd bend like bananas if they were made out of mainly low-density polyethylene. So we're pretty careful with where we put our products. All the equipment we use is proprietary equipment, designed and built in-house to manufacture as efficiently as, to ensure we can manufacture as efficiently as possible. This runs of a fully automated bollard line. We're in the midst of commissioning there. We purchase old injection moulders and totally rebuild them to our specifications. Then we add all of the latest control gear and finally tend them with robots. By doing this, we can pull all sorts of useful data from the machines, like exactly how much power is used to make each individual product. So we understand that our business must be sustainable in every sense of the word. If we're to recycle thousands of tonnes again next year, we've got to be able to pay our wages this week. So about some stats. I think we're all a bit over stats. I just get overwhelmed with the amount of figures that are thrown up to do with plastics. Some recycling terms. Again, I'm greenwashed out. Basically, we just got to do something about it. It's all good talking about it. I don't know where it comes from, maybe my Scottish heritage. I just don't like wasting things. I try to run this right across my life, whether it's time, money, food or plastics. Replas believes in honesty and integrity, and as my father used to say, if you can fake them, you've got it made. Ironically, I'm sure he stole that quote from someone. But seriously, it is simple business. We must ensure our suppliers can survive on what we pay for materials and services, and we must ensure our customers can afford the services we provide. So what's happening in China at the moment is a real reckoning for the recycling industry. If companies like ours just dump the supplies we've had over the last 25 years and chase the quick buck sourcing free material, it's just not sustainable. We must keep the circles within the circular economy as small as possible. Of course, we need to follow the reduce, reuse model, but we also must make scrap plastic valuable. I don't think the linear model of waste to energy is the answer. I think we need to engineer scrap plastics into new, larger markets. Now, back when I first started Repeat Plastics and uni students were out chaining themselves to trees, maybe this next thought would have been more relevant. Why go out hugging trees when time should be spent engineering waste plastics to produce a timber replacement? Luckily now that's common practice, with companies worldwide doing a great job producing decking that has all the looks of timber but none of the downsides. Replas 17 years ago got a plastic railway sleeper passed by what was then Public Transport Victoria. Recently these tests were done again, and another company, Integrated Recycling, now also have a sleeper able to be used as a replacement for the timber and concrete ones. What a great market for mixed plastics. In the single polymer stream, there's some great work being done by plastic forests that have developed a dry cleaning system to bring really dirty plastics back to life. And also the wood plastic composite area are kicking some goals, producing a pretty good product now. APR in South Australia are a good example there. The sad part is that the few companies mentioned and a couple of others in Australia are all that there is down here. One reason for the lack of growth could be the costs involved in selling to government departments. These costs are then passed on through the selling price of the product. It just doesn't make sense to me. Government should be going out of their way to buy recycled products. Luckily, Replas only sells around 40% of its total sales to councils and the like. If it wasn't for our industrial range of products, we wouldn't be able to make all of the products you're seeing in the background on these slides. Possibly the reason for lack of uptake for recycled products is the confusion of who the recyclers really are. Are the people who separate the waste into the bins recyclers? The people who pick those bins up and take them to the MRFs, are they the recyclers? People who ship them all around the world, are they recyclers? People who reprocess the plastic into pellets, again, are they recyclers? People like us who mould the pellets into end product, are we the recyclers? I don't believe any of them are recyclers. When we can appreciate the people who go out of their way to purchase recycled products, a pull-through effect will be created, making all of our jobs easier. Aren't these people the true recyclers? So finally, it's definitely not all doom and gloom. Replas are about to increase their processing capacity by 100% and their production capacity by another 50%. So I better get off here and back to work because there's some exciting times ahead. Thanks for all your time, and I'll just leave you with a few take-home points.